Are we good?
With the wind chill today, we're northwest here minus 58.
Okay. Welcome to 2020.
Barbara Walters, 2020.
That's right, that's right. We'll call the meeting to order and stand for the singing of O Canada.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, in all thy sons command, with glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free, from far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Just like the junior hockey game.
Okay, Lindsay has the record of attendance. Nobody's absent. Declarations of conflicts of interest, anyone? And you can step away when the item comes up. Approval of agenda additions or deletions. So I have two additions. I'll put them under 13. 13A, just, I think we're in the process of this, but to set up the photos of council. And 13B, the Black History event. I have information there. Any more additions or deletions? Okay, Councillor McLeod, Councillor Don, any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Approval of minutes, Town Council, December 12th, 2019. Moved by Councillor Don. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. And Town Council in camera, December 12th.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. Thank you. Business arising. New business. Okay, compost quality control policy amendment. CAO?
Thank you, Worship. We've talked about compost quality in the past and some measures that we would take to try to encourage people to be more vigilant in the sorting of their solid waste. And we're getting tremendous cooperation from our Regional Waste Authority, Waste Check, as well as our municipal partners throughout the region who bring their solid waste to us. And I have to mention as well, their contracted haulers are being very cooperative with us. And so I can tell you the work that our communications officer is doing in terms of providing information that the other units and our waste authority can use to help raise awareness and cause action. We're starting to see some of the results of that, and we couldn't be happier. That doesn't mean we don't have a long ways to go. It just means that we're making noticeable progress already, and so we're very thankful for the engagement of the public and our partners. So in terms of the policy, we've articulated some things in this policy that weren't necessarily clear or in policy in the past, having to do with what happens when we reject a load. What does it cost a hauler who brings us a load of material that simply is beyond reasonable in terms of being able to be separated on the floor and processed? We also have some provisions that we've added to clarify what our requirements are around industrial animal waste. So that would be things like lobster. When we have a significant number of lobster delivered to the facility, sometimes that can be in the area of 20 tons at a time. That can cause a significant challenge to the operator, and so he's advised us in terms of what he requires, and that's simply a couple of hours notice. so that he can prepare feedstocks to mix with the lobster to keep the pH in a certain range that causes it not to produce ammonia. Not that I know the science, I'm just repeating what I've been told. In any case, there's a whole schedule of fees that are now part of the policy, and we're asking for your consideration of this policy this evening. And just to let you know that we'll continue to work and refine some of these things that we haven't had articulated in policy in the past, and grow this policy over time to ensure that the rules are consistent and known and and approved by council. So I'll stop talking. If there's any questions, more than happy to try and answer.
Deputy?
How did we, Jeff, how did we come up with the fee structure? Did we call around or just,
Go ahead, CAO, and then we'll go to Cliff.
Yep, so in terms of the fees, the tipping fee here is the current tipping fee. The straight up sorted organic material tipping fee is what we currently charge. What we've included in here is clearly a punitive fee for waste that contains too much contamination, too much plastic, and that's a double tipping fee, which is not inconsistent with what the solid waste park does for regular garbage. If there's too much recyclable material or organic material, they'll hit a hauler with a double tipping fee. It's kind of a standard practice. The extra 50% for the rejected load, that is something that we came up with ourselves based on what we thought was not overly punitive, but significant enough that would get their attention. And we haven't had to do a rejected load in a very long time, maybe 3 over the last 15 years. Usually a really bad load is just simply processed in terms of hand picking plastics and other non-organic materials out of the compost, and so then in those cases you're looking at double tipping fee. In terms of the sale prices that are proposed there, we've learned through our years of experience that there's kind of a sweet spot that allows us to move some material, but we haven't moved enough material historically, the Class A screen material, and so we've been a little bit aggressive in our pricing scheme here to encourage people to take the product, use the product, and get it out there and spread the word about it. We will be encouraging Communities in Bloom to be even more supportive and proactive in terms of using and promoting the product, the finished product, and we'll be hopefully doing a little bit more of the giving away for the taxpayers and the recyclers or composters, people sorting their waste at home, figuring out ways that we can help them to benefit at the other end of the cycle where we've got a great soil amendment available.
Good. Councillor Hood.
So one of the proposals refers to not-for-profit organizations. By annual application to the facility manager up to a maximum number of cubic yards per season, the not-for-profit organization is allowed resale of the compost material. The maximum will be determined on an annual basis. The maximum what? Charge? Quantity? What's that mean?
Yes,
So it's the maximum quantity?
yes.
Okay. The next one, compost material will be available for residential use only at a reduced fixed cost per unit, up to 50 yards per sale. The fixed cost per unit will be determined on an annual basis. What does it mean by per unit? Per cubic yard. Doesn't mean per householder.
What's the number I
Yeah, which number?
It's not numbered. I'm under managerial guidelines.
What is it? I don't have it.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
okay, I'm
4B,
sorry,
okay,
yeah. My picture wasn't displaying it all. I had to blow it up because my eyes are hurt. So it's 4, 2. It's for, you'll have to bear with me, I was looking at one thing.
Yeah, cubic yard is, sorry. It's 4.1.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah, so the unit is cubic meter.
So how are we going to determine that? Is it going to be something that the operator does, or?
As far as the fixed cost
Well,
per
there's a
unit?
number of these that seem to be discretionary.
Well,
on
so,
an annual
and they're laid out in item 5.0, which is the schedule of costs and prices. So there's,
So they'll change, that schedule will change for the fixed cost per unit that I'm talking about in 4.
we'll bring this policy back every year
Yeah,
prior to April 1st for your consideration, and we'll recommend, based on the uptake of sales, you know, if we're selling more than we can keep up with, we'll probably increase the price a little bit. If it's not moving, we'll probably lower the price a little bit.
So I have a couple of other questions. How much Class B, historical Class B, have we got on hand at the present time? I say historical from the point of view from years gone by when we had our difficulty sorting. And I don't want the exact cubic yards.
Yeah, I think what I've been told that I can recall and report fairly accurately tonight is that we've got about 1,000 cubic yards of finished Class A material, screened, ready to go. I don't know that we have any certified Class B material.
Well, do we have some material that's historical that is compost being stored for long term, or?
We have,
I'm talking about the stuff that came from Lake George.
yeah, most of that has been rescreened in the summertime, certified as Class A, and most of it is off-site, gone, sold.
Okay, so we were building a berm out there of some kind to
Yeah,
contain.
that was overs, okay? So when we do our screening process, what doesn't come down through the screen
Yeah.
and falls off is some non-organic material, the plastics and
Yeah,
sticks
yeah.
and so on, as well as quite a lot of compost that was too wet and
Yeah,
just
so
fell
it
off.
gets screened again, or what?
Usually, we try and screen it again and
Hand pick it
again.
before you do it?
No, once it's out there, there's no more hand picking. We had piles of that overs that had been screened and rescreened, and we were able to use, I don't know, Mark might have an idea about the number of cubic meters that went into the berm, but it was significant. And the berm serves our purpose in terms of managing surface runoff from the holding pads. So it meets our permit requirements and put use, to a good use, a lot of material.
Okay, that's all the questions I have, Your Worship.
Great, thank you. Wade, do you want to put yours off and back on, and then I can get you on?
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right, thank you. This is more just FYI, but I did want to let everyone know, for the sake of information, that myself and, of course, our Director of Communications, Mike Carter, have been planning to do some publicity around this, and that you'll be seeing more and more of it over the next little while. We're going to be filming some videos, I believe, next week, and also planning on doing some radio interviews, that kind of thing. And also, you mentioned Communities in Bloom, and I just wanted to mention the fact that this was discussed at our meeting that we had just a couple of days ago, and that we are planning on we're working with the compost group right now to do some kind of an open house, a tour of the yard there, and do a compost giveaway. So we're working on that, and that will be happening, I believe, in early May. Yeah, we had talked about June earlier, and then it got moved back. So I think it's going to end up in May, but you'll find out more about that as it goes on.
Good, thank you.
I'll make a motion, Your Worship, we accept the policy as presented.
Okay, motion to accept the policy, second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Yes, CAO?
Your Worship, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that our project engineer, Demario Dunkley, took the lead on those amendments, and so I will pass on, of course, that it was well received and approved by council, but I just want to give him a little shout out for the good work.
Stuff. Yeah, great stuff. Okay, pension transfer process, next steps. Go ahead, CAO.
Okay, so your worship, last year, we brought forward for consideration, the fact that there was new legislation passed in the province that allowed municipalities and universities, similar public agencies, to join the public sector superannuation plan. That's the provincial pension plan. And at that time, Council approved a motion to investigate further and look at the feasibility of transferring the town of Yarmouth pension plan into the PSSP. We have had our actuaries and consultants carry out work on our behalf on that, and as the request for decision indicates, they've found that the facts are there. According to their calculations, the net cost, including Eckler's fees, to do the transfer would be, based on March 31st, 2019 numbers, which are the last numbers we have, approximately $440,000. The annual savings to the town of Yarmouth in terms of premiums would be in the area of $125,000. And so I guess you could say that the return on investment would be in just a few years. What is significant is that the town's pension plan has, as a requirement, because it's a small pension plan, it's a municipal pension plan, a requirement of doing a solvency calculation. And that is intended to look at if you had to wind up your pension plan, or you chose to wind up or end your pension plan, the town would still be on the hook for the solvency cost, and that's in excess of, or in the area of, $3 million. Under the PSSP, they don't do such a test. It's not required under law, and so that risk is alleviated entirely from the town, and it doesn't sit as a calculated risk with the PSSP. So the calculations we had confirmed by, these were done by our consultants. We had them confirmed by the PSSP and the pension regulator in the province. Though the answer to that we got back today, and I spoke with our consultants, and she said it is, at the end of the day, it's significantly the same. They're showing it as a lower cost to the town, but our consultant thinks that they've not included a liability of about $80,000. That our consultants anticipated they would miss that, and they did. So there's a slight difference, but she said for the sake of council's next decision, and she read the request for decision and agreed that it was appropriate and accurate. And so the request is to allow us to go to the next step in the process. And so in order to consider transferring a defined benefit pension plan into the PSSP, the employees of that are members, and all the members of the pension fund have a vote. And so you would not be able to do it unless 50% plus one of the members of the pension plan agreed to do it. So the next step would be to inform the members, to answer any questions, make sure they understand what is under consideration, have them take a vote. If they took a vote and the answer was affirmative, that does not mean that the town is obligated at that point. It simply means that you've crossed one more hurdle, and that is no longer a barrier to moving forward if the town chose to. And so the recommendation is, because that is the next step in the process, is for council to agree to have our pension consultants provide information sessions and education to our employees and pension plan members, so that to facilitate a vote and carry out that vote and report back to council.
Councillor Jim?
So to get started, I sit on the pension committee with two employees of the town, along with staff from the town office. And So I want to move that we approve the continuation of the work to transfer the Town of Yarmouth pension plan to the PSSP, including the engagement and education of employees and conducting the required employee vote. We spent, I think, Jeff, was it close to 4 hours of discussion that day from 11 to almost 3 o'clock, I think. And it was interesting. I think it's been a long time to tired of trying to understand everything, but and I still have the information, Jeff. So anyway, I'll make that a motion and look for a
Okay.
seconder for the sake of discussion. And
Yeah. Have a seconder? Second by Councillor Don. Good, are you good?
yes,
Still on, that's all right. Go ahead, Councillor.
So, 6 or 8 years ago, government had to bail out one of the pension plans for the province. I think it's this one, to the tune of whatever, hundreds of millions. At the present time, as I understand it, and it's a separate pension, I believe, teachers' pension fund's 1.6 billion underfunded. What are the odds we go in with this, and it goes behind like the big one did before, or the teachers is now, and we all of a sudden do we have to kick in a proportionate amount to settle it? And what's the odds that maybe the government caves into the union and goes to, instead of, where are we now? We have 60, what's our copay right now?
Our copay is, we're at about 13% right now, and this would bring us down to 8.6.
So what's it in dollars and cents?
Oh.
How much do we put in, how much does the employee put in on a percentage basis?
Percentage 6.5 and 13, so it's a 2-to-1 match.
So we're putting in $2 for every dollar the employee puts in?
That's right.
So it used to be a lot of those were 5 and 5, and the unions have sort of, in the public service, taken that each time they get into a crunch like that, government caves and gives them more. Are we going to get stuck with having to do the same thing if they do that? I'm just asking these
Yep,
questions.
no, it's a good ask, and so there are a couple things that happened back the point in time you're referencing. I believe the number that the province borrowed to support the fund was $500 million or $500 million. At the same time, $1 billion worth of benefits were wiped off the board, and meaning that it used to be that indexing was guaranteed. That's gone. Used to be that the risk or the risk of a huge financial change in the fund was borne by the employer alone. Now it's a shared risk, and so the employees and the employer pay the same amount into the fund.
So my question is, though, if government is convinced at a later date to change that again, because their employees they've got the muscle in numbers, are we going to get stuck with having to go the same way?
We will be in the same pension plan and under the same rules as.
And so we will have to adjust the copay.
Yep, and if so, right now the fund is over 100% funded. They're in a surplus, and so they provide a small indexing, and they review that every 5 years. So if there was an issue with the funding level of the pension fund, the first thing they would do is not issue.
So if the index assumptions are incorrect and it goes into default, there is an obvious need that has to be made good. We would have to do the same in our current
Absolutely,
plan.
we'd be under the same rules. Now, where we were around the same time, our own pension fund suffered the same challenges at the same time as the PSSP. We changed our benefits, reduced the benefits to the employees. At that time, the town was paying, it was a 5 and 5 match. That was the beginning. But every time there was a review every 3 years. If it was underfunded, the town had to make special payments over 10 to 15 years. It had gotten to the point that the town would have been paying $3 for every $1 the employee put in. That was obviously not acceptable, and that's when we did the change in benefits, and we did the change in the
So you
funding
got
ratio.
something for it.
Oh, we absolutely, with the employees engaged and agreeing. And so the employees, I can tell you, certainly appreciate the fact that the town provides them a pension plan that they can depend on, and they see the PSSP, the ones I've talked to, as something that they're quite interested in. Until we have the information sessions, they're like Jim and I, they're struggling to really wrap their head around what it means, but what this would do is give them an opportunity to understand, and you all would be invited to participate in those sessions so you too could understand what is on the table, and ultimately, at a later date, make a decision whether to go forward with the transfer or not. We've got pre-approval, meaning that we've put ourselves in line. So right now, there are municipalities and universities ahead of us. They only deal with them one at a time as in order that they apply. So part of the process is you do a pre-approval, you request pre-approvals, which we've done. So we have a position in line. If the employees agree and if the town agrees, they continue to do their work with the ones they're working on now. And when our number comes up, if we agree to go forward with it, then we're golden.
So to put it in a nutshell, our employees need to know that, in a nutshell, are you comfortable going in with a plan that's run by 10,000 provincial government employees? And do you think they are well served right now? I think we all think they're better than well served, or at least I do. And so they ought to be quite encouraged to go in, Jim. You should go tell it to them that way.
Well, wait a second, it's ours too, isn't it? This is
Oh,
is
yeah,
this
I
our
get
pension
by the
plan?
way, folks, I get $178 a month at age 78.
You got a pension though.
I got a pension.
So
So I'm going to be supporting the motion, Your Worship.
Thank you. Great questions.
All right,
Yeah,
just,
hold on, I'm going to turn you on as soon as Cliff flicks his button there. Go ahead, Councillor Wade.
just for clarity for everyone, and to be fair, I'm not part of any pension plan here. How many of us here are part of a pension plan, so that everyone's aware? Are you guys all part of a pension plan here?
Yeah, aren't you?
No.
No?
I never bothered.
Okay.
I didn't expect to be here that long.
Well, did you call $178
It's not a big pension.
a
It's
month
not.
part of a pension plan? I have
Yeah, it's not a,
We'll keep you,
2 trips to Gaia Restaurant.
it'll keep you out of the streets.
oh my God.
Just one final comment, Your Worship and fellow councillors. Like any big change, the transition is going to be emotional at times for a lot of employees because everybody is at a different age,
Yeah.
and some people have different retirement hopes and dreams. So, but in the end, the town of Yarmouth and itself and the administration and the employees of the town of Yarmouth will both be better off. It's just going through a moment. A moment could last a year or two. So I'm looking forward to going through with the next phase, Your Worship.
Good, okay. So you made the motion. Don seconded it. Any questions called? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Okay, so there was a second one.
No, that's just...
That takes care of
So
everything?
what I did, Your Worship, the second one was the request for decision from a year ago. I want you to have that as background information. It wasn't to be, there's no further decision required.
Okay. Good, thank you. Request for decision, facilitated discussion concerning Yarmouth County consolidation. So everyone has that. The recommendation is that town council submit in concert with the municipality of the District of Argyll and the municipality of the District of Yarmouth, a formal request to the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing for the province of Nova Scotia to coordinate a facilitated session between the said councils to discuss the potential consolidation of the 3 municipal units, such session to be held within the next 45 days. So that would be, do you want to make? So moved, Your Worship. Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor. Second by Councillor Hood. Any discussion, anyone? Councillor, we know your percentages.
Well, talk, man, talk.
Councillor Wade,
I
go
just
ahead.
want to say that I don't know about anyone else, and I guess I do know about this council. We've talked about this jokingly, at tables, at restaurants, everywhere. This has been discussed. I believe that this is long overdue, at least the discussion part of it. And I know that a lot of people think about savings or not savings or duplication of different services, and perhaps that, more than anything, I see this as a move towards us becoming unified with a stronger voice, and that together we are that much more strong. And so I cannot wait to see what the facilitator has to say. I can't wait to have this discussion. So, thank you.
Good. And to your point, that's what this is. It is simply to see if this council's interested in sitting down with the other councils and having that discussion where we can ask questions. I would suggest bring up any concerns, all those pieces, just put everything on the table, sort through and see where we want to go from there. Simple. Councillor Hood?
So, Your Worship, the motion, so we could share with the public, I think, at this point, that we had informal discussions with a representative of the department. I think each municipal unit has, leading up to this. And this particular motion contemplates all three. There has been discussion about the potential for two. Is that still on the table?
I think that's part of this request for decision, that, you know, we're asking three, all three have been asked, but if two or more agree, that we can certainly have that conversation with two.
Do we need to change the motion or add to the motion to make that happen, or
No.
just leave it as it is?
Yep, leave it.
Thank you. That's all I wish to know.
Good. We good? Questions called? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried unanimously. Thanks, folks. Elected signs, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. Whereas 2020 is a municipal election year, which will be followed by a provincial election as early as next year and yet another inevitable federal election. And whereas this means thousands of plastic lawn signs will be produced at a great personal expense to the candidates and their supporters, with the majority being discarded following the election. And whereas while election signs are an important source of revenue for some local sign-making businesses, it should be noted that many signs are produced elsewhere and discarded and are a risk for adding dangerous plastics to our oceans, from which many local citizens make a living. And whereas putting an end to an election sign war would help level the playing field for all candidates, regardless of financial means, and help voters and candidates focus on the real issues, not who has the most signs, all with added benefit of preventing more plastics from entering our environment, waterways, and oceans. Therefore, it be resolved, just as the town of Yarmouth is already a leader in increasing voter engagement through electronic voting, we should join with many other municipal units across the country and ban the display of plastic campaign lawn signs during elections.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? Go ahead there, Councillor.
Your Worship, I have just one comment right now, and maybe another comment or two later. But I've offered for election 4 times, 1980,
And
1985 and 88, and again in 2012 and 2016. And I've not had my face on any main street, side street.
But
Third,
you're God. Jim, you're God. You're God.
I just simply want to say, you know me, and
Yeah.
and so I don't know how I'm going to react to my friend Phil's motion.
I love it.
But it's interesting because everybody has their own way of becoming known, and I always wanted, after each election, the candidates who were offering for election and didn't finish in the top 6, but I wanted those people to participate as a volunteer on committees of the town and or the municipality, and I'm not sure if that happened enough from my perspective. So but I also am aware that that's how people get noticed and ask questions. There's other ways to ask questions. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
can, Your Worship, if I can respond to the
You go ahead
Jim,
and then we'll put weight on.
Cliff knows this just as well as I do, that probably in the 80s, we're both on opposite sides of the political fence. And we had, not only was the election competitive, the sign wars was competitive. This is how it would go on any given night if John and Frank Murphy and their crew did a real nice job on putting signs up on Stars Road. Phil Mooney and his crew would be just as active to go out and take them down and put up our signs. And then following that, John Murphy and Frank would go out and take up our signs, take down our signs and put up his signs. And Cliffy Hood was given the orders, and liberal John Murphy was given the orders on the other side. So then I would go out and take down their signs with my cousin Dave, and then they would go out and take down our signs and put up their signs. They're all cardboard then. So at the end of the day, you start off at 7 o'clock at night, you'd be done at 3 o'clock in the morning, and you drove down Stairs Road and there wasn't a sign.
So,
Actually, you know, if you want to really talk about this, is it levels the playing field for people that feel that they aren't financially able to run a campaign, right? I'm lucky that when I ran for mayor, I had family backing and I had the financial means myself to make up lots of signs and to put out campaign literature and brochures. I was lucky, really lucky, right?
Yeah.
And I had the wherewithal to do that. But there's people that do want to get involved in the political process that do not have that financial means or that backing. It's easier for us being liberals and conservatives, or maybe to a lesser extent the NDP, but when you get into the Green Party and you get into other parties this last federal election, like I think the Veterans Party was there, and they had some other parties that were interested, it became a sign war. Is somebody would come back from the Valley and said, did you see how many signs I saw of Jason DeVore? Did you see how many signs I saw of Chris Donchamont? I'm going to use Councillor Barry over there as a prime example.
I was gonna use that too, yeah.
He probably ran the most effective digital, people-focused campaign that I've seen in Yarmouth in the last 20 years. And he did that all through social media, plus friends, plus neighbors. You got those involved in a different way. The other thing is you will come here at Town Hall on any given day during a provincial or federal election, and did you see those guys put a sign on our property? It could be one of the parties. Somebody else put a sign on our property. Somebody else is encroaching on our property. Somebody else put a sign on the corner of the road that's blocking the view. I think I calculated in the last municipal election there was over, I think, about 2,400 or 2,500 candidates that put their name forward either for school board or for municipal council, and there was only 400 winners. Where did the other 2,200 signs go, which could be over 10,000? I brought a bunch out there, but it's interesting. You know what? Then they blow over. Then we had problems on Stairs Road blocking views. It levels the playing field, and what people want to see is people want to see good individual hard work and honesty. And if we do the amalgamation piece, and Councillor MacLeod made joke about he ran in 1851 and 1951, he's going to run in 2051 and beyond. And we know Jim's probably the most well-known person in the town of Yarmouth, that he might not have that same kind of cachet out in the municipality. You know what Jim might say? He said, I might dig out $50,000 and I'll put up 10,000 signs for every one of my supporters out in the county. Like, so it does level a playing field. People want to see ideas and they want to see people, right? So it's only a very small, minute part of the problem, but guess what? It solves a lot of issues in the town of Yarmouth when it comes to cleaning them up, getting rid of them. And I think I was out in the waste facility here a little while ago, and I actually think I saw a Mooney for Mayor sign in one of the piles. So unless I want to go out,
keep that.
I might have to go out and dust it off and bring it back for my brother Junior. But I think it's just one small step. That's all.
Well, I just wanted to say, well, a couple of things, actually. I had a legitimate question, which is, yeah, it's hard to believe.
Why don't you try the illegitimate one first?
I'll start with a legitimate question, and that is, all this motion will do is affect municipal elections. Is that not the case? Can we effectively ban
You want my-
signs when it comes to other elections? That's an actual question.
We'll find out.
Okay, hang on a second. Say that again?
If us taking away or banning election signs,
Yeah.
is that only affecting municipal elections?
No.
Or does it affect
It affects
federal
the others
elections,
because-
provincial elections?
Because it says whereas municipal this year, followed by provincial, and inevitably a federal election.
Okay.
So this is all banning, okay, so the next question is, ban the display of plastic campaign line signs. So it's not any, it's only campaign signs, right?
Yes.
Not every sign. And only, wait a minute, and only plastic? Okay, we got to figure this out because Councillor Steve used,
Well, I'm
Okay.
talking vinyl,
okay? So
corrugated. All, it should be.
Should
maybe
be all
take up-
election
Should be
signs.
all election signs, your worship. If it's all right with the seconder, I will change that to display of all campaign, and I'm gonna cross out lawn if that's all right with the
Yeah,
seconder.
all
Campaign
campaign
signs
signs
during
during elections.
All campaign signs of any construction site.
Okay.
Okay,
Lindsay, got that?
okay? All right, Councillor Don, and then you're up.
I guess I'm on the fence for this one because I would say that I'm not even Facebookish yet. Being an educator, I'm still not even up to the times with all this stuff that's computerized and all this particular stuff. So there is still some of us old school. There are still families out there that don't have internet. We're pushing for everybody to have internet. I got in trouble the other day for not sending something out in paper form so that everybody's informed rather than just the internet, Facebook people. I believe that, in my opinion, I believe that there has to be some other method, and I think that this method for me works. It's going to take a long time before you teach an old dog new tricks, and I would say my first chance at an election had to be with posted signs. I'm not saying I'm rich over this because I've saved all the signs and hid them in a barn. And but I'm just saying from my perspective, I think to eliminate it means that the person that's the internet, Facebook kind of person now becomes an advantage. So you've taken away equal opportunity. If you're a Facebook kind of or an internet kind of person and you're posting all that stuff and I'm not, and I still want to run in an election, I either have to learn quick or I have to hire some people to do that kind of job for me to give me an opportunity. So there's two ways to look at this. Okay, that's basically what I want to give my opinion on.
Thank you. Go ahead, Steve, Councillor
So
Steve.
my original question was going to be if it was just signs, and that has been brought up, but when I ran last time, there is a material available, although it doesn't last over 3 weeks. If you've seen some of my signs, they were pretty much ready to go the day of the election, but they're made of recycled material, almost 90%. They are biodegradable. Like I said, they were out for about 3 weeks, and that's pretty much their lifeline about how long they last. So I only had about 35 made, but there is material out there to do things like that. And just to Don's point as well, or Councillor Barry's point, I think when a lot of times we make decisions in school and stuff, we have to have a wide range of thought, as he said, about who it applies to and who it doesn't, to make sure who has internet, who kind of gets the information. But I guess the other flip side of that is if you had money to make signs, those same money could go into an online campaign, which worked very well for me last time. So just saying things are out there kind of environmentally safe if we do want to look into those.
Thank you. So, I'll say that, I mean, it's a tough one. I'm all for it, by the way. It saves people gas money too, because mine on a regular basis got collected and brought out to Cape for Shoe and dumped.
It dropped
So,
off.
right, and hinder, it didn't hinder the election. I would hate to think that you win an election simply because you had the most signs out. That's really sad, and it goes right back to, we really want everybody to have an equal opportunity to, as you said, Deputy, to be able to put their name in the hat and not have to worry about funds and things like that. Some people have their own money. You can certainly raise money to do it. So yeah, and there's, it's awful for like 6 weeks. It's just 6 weeks of signs everywhere. And there are, I believe, there are many, many ways besides social media, which is, I mean, that's, you have to do part of what is, it's 2020, so you have to, we can help you catch up, Dawn. Don't do what you want. But on top of that, you know, we're still knocking on doors, and we're still talking to people, and we're still, you know, having, I want to say cafes. I used to have a lot of cafes and just say I'm going to be here at this certain time. There's many, many ways to meet people face to face, to have opportunities to talk with people without, I'll just say it, without littering a town with thousands of signs that either get stuffed somewhere or thrown in the garbage. And it is 2020, and I think we need to do our very best to not create more things for Mark Brophy to have to pick up on the beach. Sorry, Mark, but you know, it's up to us to create less.
You ever pick up a campaign sign on the beach? An election sign? One?
Was it Mooney for mayor? You know, it's funny because I was walking through, I call it the bullpen here, right at the office, at Christmas time, and all of the Christmas cards. And I said to the staff there, I said, you know what, I feel like I want to send out a mass email and say, don't just send a Christmas card because you order 1,000 Christmas cards, send them to everybody with a stamp on them without even knowing where they're going. And I see all that paper. So I love that we could take a step in the right direction and be more green, because I think that's the direction we need to go as a town. So I'm all for it. Go ahead, Councillor Jim, and then we can.
What are implications to our staff if we pass this motion? What are the implications to our staff? Reinforcement. And here we are really breaking with a huge tradition, which as I said earlier, I've never participated in with a sign of myself, promoting myself, but there are most of the nominees do. And so enforcement, will it limit the number of people who contest for the 6 available seats, 7 including the mayor, because they think they can't participate or don't know how to participate?
Yeah, it's just the opposite. If anybody thinks they can't run because they can't put signs up, a sign doesn't tell who you are.
No, but it's a start. And so
Yeah.
I just want to say that,
Yeah.
and with respect, and it's a huge change. And I understand the change, and I think that our agenda tonight is all about change, which is truly wonderful. So
Yeah.
thank you very much, Your Worship. I look forward to hearing from Jeff.
Thank you. Go ahead, CAO.
So, Your Worship, this sort of resolution, in order to put it in effect, would require a bylaw. So the first step would be we'd have to draft a bylaw for your consideration so that we have something that we can enforce on the public. And once we have it, we have a standing rule within the town that we don't allow election signs on public property, on town property. And so during elections, we're routinely finding people who are unaware of that. So we're calling campaign offices or calling candidates and pointing out that there are signs that need to be removed. And
Or somebody puts one on, you say you can put one on my lawn, but you put it closer to the street and right away, right?
Yep. So an outright prohibition is, from a municipal election perspective is fairly easy. From the perspective of, we know who the candidates are before as soon as they register, right? As soon as they take out papers, they can be advised of this bylaw, this change. Provincially and federally, once candidates are nominated, we could advise them, long before the writ is dropped, as they say. So it wouldn't be hard to inform, and it wouldn't be hard to enforce from the perspective of any sign is a violation.
Yeah, that's the easy part.
Right? So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
so,
no, it's a good question.
so without having gone through it, I don't see it as being especially challenging, but, we'd have to write the bylaw.
Okay. And this will start that process, right?
This would start the process.
Okay, call for the question.
I love it. Questions called. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Nay. Okay, good, motion carried. We have Yarmouth Hospital Foundation Radiothon.
Thank you, Your
Worship.
Thank you, Worship. Whereas the Yarmouth Hospital Foundation hosts an annual radiothon, which is their largest individual fundraiser, I hereby move that the town of Yarmouth pledge $500 to their campaign, which is the same amount, I think, over the last 2 years, Your Worship.
Yep. Good. Okay, second by Councillor Jim. What are you thinking there, Wade? Nothing as he turns his
Yeah.
light on. Go ahead.
Just thank you, and we'll see you that day, because we're very excited about it. So let's get some free publicity out there again. It's
Yeah.
going to be happening on the 6th of February, start at 6 a.m., run until 4.
6.
It won't be long. Next week, I'll be building the page, the web page, which explains what they're raising funds for. I believe it's all about respiratory equipment this time through. But we're very excited, really looking forward to it, and can't wait.
Yeah, thank you for that. And we'll go present that, and I'll bring my purse, and you can carry my purse. Okay?
Question, Your Worship.
Okay, questions called. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Deputy, you've got the mural program.
Thank you, Your Worship, and this is something that we've discussed, I think, a few times around the council chambers, the previous council, I think a little bit in this one, and something we've had a conversation about ourselves is that I hereby move that the Yarmouth Town Council direct staff to explore the concept of a mural program for our business, and it had district, but I think it should be district, so it could go from south to north and anywhere else. So instead of, I think that might be, and if staff will probably explore, I think it might be a great opportunity to get the facade program or the facade society involved. We have lots of blank spaces here in the town of Yarmouth. We also have lots of walls, lots of spaces on the waterfronts that could be developed as mural space. I went away in early December, and I was in a small town that had a great mural program, and Your Worship, better than me, you've been across the country several times, and some of the communities take advantage of some of the empty wall space they have, and the one I keep thinking about when you drive into the town of Yarmouth coming off the Tuscan Highway is the wall on the old Allwood plant. How you could do something with that and dress it up. I'm not putting a dollar amount in that at this time, but just see if it's something that the Facade Society is interested in or something that we could implement. But I think it would be a great addition to the town.
Okay. Did we get a seconder on that? Okay, yes, you did. Okay, go ahead, Councillor Jim.
I started the mural program in 1981 and have worked with the artists in designing 3 different murals. The one on John Street redesigned once, that counts as 2, and then the one currently in Alma Square, which is approximately 25 years old. It doesn't seem possible, but when I was reading the information for tonight's meeting, it got me thinking. So if the mural program is the right thing for our town, then I'd like to participate on that committee if there is a committee to help design that. we have artists from locally and from away that would love to participate. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. And I actually have somebody that's been talking about it for a few years who has a list, I think, of close to 100 spaces, like a solid list. And that this person's an artist as well. Go ahead, Councillor Cliff.
I saw a mural for the first time in Warringah, New Zealand what year did Buchanan win his third term? So,
81.
No, 83rd term.
Or 85.
No, 87.
87. I can't remember how many times.
I just need you to jog my memory on that one.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the history lessons tonight, I love it.
So anyway, I did, seriously, and I mean, this mural was like, I took pictures of it when I was there and brought them back here. We looked at that back when I was on council, but I was there and doing something else. And it was like, the building was like 100 yards long, a couple of 100 feet long, maybe 300. Just this long building. And it was fantastic what they'd done. Of course, they have indigenous people there, Maoris and so on, but it was a mix of cultures and everything like that. It was impressive. So we thought about it. We never did anything about it. Good idea. I'm going to support the motion. I really do. This is different than what we've been discussing at Heritage, where we've been talking about doing those
plaques, not the plaques, but the...
Yeah. And the visual arts, or the visual, yeah. I'm going to support the motion.
Yeah, it's all over the world, really. It's not, it's anywhere you go in the world, every single space is being used. So moved and seconded.
I'll say question, Your Worship.
Question called. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. And we have a tender for solid waste collection. Cliff, can you put your light there? Thank you. Go ahead, CAO.
So, Your Worship, we contract out the collection of our curbside waste, residential curbside waste, and we typically do a 5-year contract. And so we recently conducted the tender, and there's a memo from the Manager of Public Works who oversaw that process. So the tender was advertised on the provincial procurement site, our website, and in the Vanguard. Prices were sought for both 2-year and 5-year terms. One response was received from Wasteco Limited, who provided the service for the previous 5-year contract. This contract included an annual increase of 2.8%, with the cost of the final year being $323,637 plus and 6 cents plus HST. The results for the new tender are outlined as below. So you see in both the 2-year and the 5-year options, they start with a first-year price, and then there's an annual percentage increase in the contract over the term, so either 2 or 5 years. After reviewing both options, it is recommended to choose the 5-year term, which includes the best overall value, and award the tender to Wasteco Limited. The contract shall commence on February 1st, 2020, and end on January 31st, 2025. And this is for your information. And I would like to add one other note for you, is that the reason we went for both 2- and 5-year options is that we thought, you know, given a motion that was raised earlier tonight about looking at structure, we thought that if we enter a shorter term contract, that may give us a little bit more nimbleness in terms of changing if the opportunity or the situation arises that we need to. But in any case, the value for the town is in the 5-year term, and so that's what's been recommended by the manager, and of course I support his recommendation.
Motion that council approve the recommendation of the CAO for the 5-year term and renewal of this contract.
Moved, second by Councillor Don. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Council Advisory, Committee of the Whole, Deputy?
We had none last.
We didn't, December, that's right. I was wondering why that wasn't attached. Citizen Advisory, did we have planning? We didn't have planning, okay. Mayor's report's actually in the Vanguard, basically. We did the New Year's message with all of the year's ups and downs and looking forward to the future. So that's in the vanguard. Questions for committee chairs? Do we have anything that we wanted to go ahead there, Councillor Jim?
I don't have any questions, but I've been looking at the agenda for tonight in preparation for tonight and looking under new business, and I think of 10A, B, and 10C. Those in particular, to me, they're thought-provoking, and I enjoy the participation at this level, and it's sometimes tougher in the committee level, but I hope that we can achieve all of our goals, short and long term. I really want to do it. I'm afraid if we don't do some of these things, that it makes it difficult for the next generation as they come along and want to participate at the level that we are participating here tonight. So I am encouraging staff, and with any help they think that I can give, I want very much to achieve our goals and truly for my children, grand and great-grandchildren. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Wade?
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to mention Communities in Bloom. This is an FYI, but we had a meeting just this past Tuesday, I believe it was Tuesday, and we discussed the compost issue, which again, we mentioned earlier, but we also mentioned we've decided this time through, last year, of course, we hosted the Communities in Bloom Symposium, the International Symposium, and so we never entered ourselves in any real categories, non-competitive, but we have made the decision this time to get ourselves entered through into the champions the champions circle. So what that is everyone who's already won something, it's a much higher, it's a higher edge, it's higher up, and it's our decision that we need to challenge ourselves further. So
Sort of like this week's Jeopardy.
yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah, except Alex Trebek won't be there. But at any rate, we're going to be entering that, and the form will be put in place, I believe, by the end of February.
Sounds like a Amway.
Go ahead,
And
Deputy.
to Councillor Cleveland, Wade, maybe he can touch upon the symposium that we're going to hold in February. Maybe we are going to touch on some more environmental and climate things that people can do around their homes and properties to help the environment, help the climate, and help us. I think we came to a conclusion. We're going to try to get a couple speakers in that water management in your yards and some other things. And hopefully, Jeff, I don't know, we haven't told you yet, but we'd like to get DeMario involved on some of the climate things and actually bring maybe himself and Mark in and what we're doing on with our climate change action plan and how we're trying to implement some of those suggestions out of the plan. But I think it was a good, it was actually probably one of the best for information and for subject matter, one of the best community and Bloom meetings we had in a long time. Very good. Even though the other ones have always been good, especially with the the National Blooms coming up, but this one was very good with information.
I think we end up getting more excited as we go along. Yes. Putting more in. Go ahead, Councillor.
It is. It would have been nice. Probably should have mentioned it to DeMario before you actually.
Mention it to Jeff. Who's going to mention it to DeMario?
Okay, that's good. But yes, we are, and that what he's speaking of course, is our annual Ken Langille Gardening Symposium that we do, and we'll be holding that on Leap Day. So it'd be the 29th of February. It's a Saturday, and will happen at the Yarmouth High School, as long as Counselor / Principal Don gives us the space. But at any rate, that will be coming up.
Good stuff. It's good to hear, and I think that's exactly what's happening. I don't think many people expected that we would be the smallest place to ever hold something like that. And I'm still getting letters, as I'm sure you are, letters, emails, notes, you know, from around the world, still just saying, you know, thank you, because you put something on that it's what Southwest Nova does best, is host people, and we did it, set the bar really, really high. So thanks for everything you're doing. It's a big deal. Just kind of keeps us on the map there. So it's good stuff. It is. Okay, additions. There's 2 additions. Photos of council. Are we all here in February? Yes. Let's go for it. Every time I go on the website and there's a note that says coming soon with Councillor Steve. I'm like, to be announced. Yeah, exactly. So maybe we'll aim for February for those. Okay, good, thanks. Yeah. And then the Black History Month, February. So I've been speaking, Councillor Steve and I, with Vanessa Fowles, who is helping us. She did reach out to the minister's office today, and it looks really, really good. So February 12th, you can write down. I just have to secure a venue. I did call across the street, and if they're available, we'll take that. If not, I have some other ideas. I was actually thinking museum. It might even be cool, but we'll talk about that. So we're looking at February 12th from 11 till 1. We've got students coming in. We've got, you know, all those pieces. Were you going to go ahead, Councillor Don?
Yeah, we'll make a motion to approve up to $1,000 to host in the reception at Town Hall in the month of, or another venue in the month of February.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, second? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. So we've got up to $1,000 only if we need it, because there is funding available. We just have to apply. Maybe Councillor Steve, you can help me with that one. I talk to her. And there is some sort of a really loose agenda that we can add whatever we want to. So we want to make sure it's really, really cool. Digby does the gala, and the deputy mayor is going to attend that on my behalf, because I'll be out of town, but go
I
ahead.
wonder if it's appropriate, Your Worship, if Councillor Barry or Councillor Barry, I know it's during a school day, if they could attend instead of me, that might, that would lend a little more, pardon me?
Councillor Jim said he'll give him a school note. It's not, I think it's in the evening.
Is it in the evening?
I'm pretty sure.
I think it might be,
It's awesome.
it's January, Lindsay had the papers, I think it's January the 23rd.
23rd. Do you want to talk to
Yeah, I
Steve
think
about that and
if
see?
either one of the Councillor Berrys would like to go in my place, I think it'd be more than appropriate,
Yeah.
and,
And if you both want to go, I think
highlight
the
us,
mayor's
yeah.
fund will take care of that.
yeah.
Yeah. It's really a great event.
We have
in Digby.
Lindsay has the invitation that you
Yeah.
gave to myself, so if you want to have a look
Good.
at it, Steve or Don,
Okay.
I think it'd be good.
All right, and Lindsay, make sure that they know who's coming when they decide. You just have to make sure Lindsay knows, so that,
Yeah.
because you'll get to say a few words and look all spiffy and all that stuff, you know. Okay, so we're good. Approval of invoices. Moved and seconded, discussion?
Question?
All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Date of next meeting, February 13th. And do we have anything in camera, CAL? Nothing. Wow. Okay. Happy New Year. Thanks for a great meeting. It's going to be a really fast, fun year, I think.